Listen to the crowd. There is the photo opportunity. Porsche wins Le Mans. Look, celebration.
In the mid-1990s, the world of sports car racing was undergoing a seismic shift. The BPR Global GT Series, burgeoning championship, promised a new era of competition. The BPR Global GT was a Grand Tour-based sport car international endurance racing series, set to replace the World Sports Car Championship, which had ended in 1992. For Porsche, a brand synonymous with motorsport, this was an opportunity to reclaim its former glory. But unfortunately for them, the initial rules were fairly loose for the beginning of the BPR series, and consequently, McLaren took full advantage of the situation. With the creation of their BMW-powered F1 GTR, McLaren was unbeatable and won the 1995 Le Mans. This left Porsche with a horrible taste in their mouth. So, to begin this story, we have to go back to 1994. That year, Porsche was celebrating winning Le Mans with the prototype Dauer 962C, 7 years since their previous victory in 1987. So, in 1995, Porsche decided to move away from prototypes and back towards production-based models. For the GT1 category, cars were heavily modified versions of road cars, such as the McLaren F1 and the Ferrari F40. Porsche originally modified the 993 GT2 into an EVO version and homologated it as a GT1 car, but it proved to be uncompetitive against other cars in its class. The 993 was just a street car made into a race car competing against purpose-built race cars. As a result, Porsche's initial contender proved woefully inadequate. Porsche needed to think outside of the box if they had any hope of being a serious contender. Undeterred, Porsche embarked on a bold new path. With this, the mission to produce a GT1 was on its way. Herbert Ampferer, the head of Porsche's motorsports division, spearheaded the development of a new model. He tasked Norbert Singer, the head of Works, Sports, and Operations, with creating a car to compete in the highly competitive GT1 class. To bring this vision to life, Ampferer enlisted the expertise of Horst Reiter, the engineer renowned for his work on the 956's monocoque. Reiter conceptualized the car, emphasizing a 993-inspired front, a mandatory flat underbody, and an extended wheelbase. Singer then entrusted Harm Legay, Porsche's design chief, with transforming Reiter's sketches into a tangible reality. Legay assigned Tony Hatter, the designer behind the iconic 993, to this pivotal role. In an unconventional approach, Porsche prioritized the development of the race car over its road-going counterpart due to time constraints. This necessitated an unprecedented level of collaboration between the motorsports and design departments, a partnership that was not without its challenges. Financial constraints were a paramount consideration in the development of the GT1. To mitigate costs, the decision was made to utilize the front end of the existing 993 model, thereby circumventing the need for additional crash testing. Furthermore, maintaining a left-hand drive configuration aligned with the Stuttgart production line, facilitating the subsequent production of a road-legal version. The rear of the vehicle incorporated a modified 962 tube frame, enabling the placement of the turbocharged flat-six engine in a central position. This marked a groundbreaking departure for Porsche, as it represented the first mid-engine 911. In fact, many of Porsche's early prototypes were mid-engined, such as the 1958 550 Spider. The 3.2-liter twin-turbocharged flat-six engine featured 4 valves per cylinder and an innovative full water cooling system, a departure from the air-cooled configuration of previous Porsche models. A hood-mounted scoop directed cool air to the intercooler, enhancing performance. Power was transmitted through a 6-speed manual gearbox, and the car's structure was composed of a carbon Kevlar and carbon fiber composite. At last, the 911 GT1 was born, a radical departure from the untraditional 911 formula. With this, Porsche was ready to face the mighty competition. Porsche decided the perfect time to debut the new 911 GT1 was in the BPR Global GT Series at the 4 Hours of Brands Hatch. Piloting this beautiful piece of machinery were the two greats, Hans-Joachim Stuck and Thierry Boutsen. These two icons were able to win the race with ease, but unfortunately, Porsche was ineligible for points since they were racing as an invitational entry. Stuck and Boutsen also took the GT1 to victory at the 4 Hours of Spa. After Spa, Ralph Kelleners and Emmanuel Collard triumphed for the factory team at Zhuhai. While the races were going well for the new GT1, unfortunately, Porsche couldn't continue the winning streak when it came to the legendary race, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The GT1 lost with just one lap down, ironically against the Jost Porsche team racing in the TWR Porsche WSC Spider prototype. On the other hand, the GT1 did manage to place second and third overall, and place first and second in the GT1 class. However, the GT1 also went to win the last 3 BPR GT races of the season. Therefore, the 1996 was actually pretty successful for Porsche considering the car had a brand new design. To qualify for racing, Porsche had to make 2 road versions of their 1996 Le Mans race car. These were basically the same as the race car but without the safety gear, raised higher off the ground, and with more comfortable features. Porsche actually built these 2 cars in 1995 even though they were called 1996 models. The engines were also detuned from 600 horsepower to 544 horsepower, and the gears were different. The brakes were also changed from carbon fiber to cast iron. The suspension was raised and made softer so it would be more comfortable on the road. The inside of the cars were fitted with leather upholstery. These road car versions were called 911 GT1 Strassen versions, which literally just meant street versions. As a result, these were definitely of a different breed than their extreme race car counterparts. Whereas the 1996 season was a decent one for GT1, this was not the same for the 1997 GT1. To begin the disastrous season of 1997, we must start with the end of 1996. Near the end of the 1996 season, Porsche had made some redesigns of the 911 GT1 in preparation for the 1997 season. These revisions included new bodyworks, such as headlamps from the new generation of 911s, 996, and new aerodynamic elements that allowed the GT1 to have higher acceleration while maintaining the same top speed. With the new changes, the GT1 was now the 911 GT1 Evolution. On another note, the FIA returned to sanctioning GT racing for 1997. With their return, the FIA looked at the Porsche GT1's performance at Le Mans and those last 3 BBR races in 1996 and decided it was necessary to put induction restrictors on the car. If dealing with the McLaren F1 wasn't enough, Mercedes also decided to join the action-packed series with a V12. Despite being a formidable contender, the Porsche GT1 struggled to consistently match the pace of its rivals, particularly the Mercedes-AMG CLK GTR. While the Porsche GT1 did achieve some notable victories, including at the 4 Hours of Zhuhai and the 4 Hours of Silverstone, it was unable to secure a championship title. And even worse is that the 911 GT1 could not manage to even finish the most important race, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, due to engine failure. Matter of fact, a privately entered 1996 specification GT1 managed 5th overall and 3rd in the GT1 class at Le Mans. Simply disappointing. Consequently, the Mercedes-AMG CLK GTR dominated the season, winning both the Drivers' and Teams' Championship. The 1997 season marked a difficult period for the Porsche GT1, but it provided valuable experience and data that would be used to further refine the car for future competitions. 1998 marked a significant turning point. The 911 GT198 was an all-new car, a culmination of Porsche's racing expertise. For this season, the GT1 had to be ready to face off against two new formidable foes, Toyota GT1 and the Mercedes-Benz CLK LM. The 98 GT1 went through a few changes, such as the new bodywork bore more of a resemblance to traditional sports prototypes than the previous two models. This time, the chassis was completely made from carbon fiber. This was the first Porsche to feature a carbon fiber chassis, making it significantly lighter, stronger, and more resilient than previous models. Matter of fact, the GT1 had a smaller battery, making it 10% lighter than the previous 97 model, which was an ingenious move by Porsche. They really did think of everything. In addition, the shift time was reduced due to the new sequential gearbox, and the ECU was changed to a TAG Electronic Systems TAG 3.8 ECU. Another notable improvement was the front suspension. An entirely different setup was installed, which gave Porsche race engineers a lot more wiggle room in terms of setting changes and tuning. And with that extra wiggle room, the engineers upgraded the GT1 with double wishbones, push rods, transverse coil springs with Bilstein dampers, and there was an anti-roll bar at both ends. And in the rear, the suspension arrangement was the same as the previous models employed. The car handled better as a result, but perhaps even more importantly was that this setup necessitated the move of the 100-liter safety cell for fuel to a position between the bulkhead and engine, which was a vast improvement when it came to weight distribution. The proliferation of slats and vents that adorned the bodywork was a testament to the amount of time spent perfecting the aero and cooling of the 98 GT1. So, with all the new tweaks to the GT1, Porsche felt very confident to face off against the competition. Well, even with all the improvements, unfortunately, the 1998 season was still a difficult one for Porsche. The new GT1 was not enough to match the pace of the new and improved Mercedes. To give Porsche some credit, FIA rolled out air restrictor rules, which were regarded as unfavorable to the turbocharged engine. The Mercedes had a naturally aspirated V8 engine. To make matters worse, Porsche even had a major incident at the Petit Le Mans race in Road Atlanta. The 911 GT198 of Yannick Dalmas made a spectacular backward flip and landed rear first before hitting the side barriers, similar to what would later happen to a BMW V12 LMR at the same race in 2000. And the Mercedes-Benz CLR at Le Mans in 1999. It's actually pretty wild that all these prototypes had very similar incidents during this era of motorsports. So it seemed like the 98 season was just going to be a repeat of the failure of the 97 season. But miraculously, everything changed for the ultimate race, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. To start off, the GT1 qualified 4th and 5th position, which was already a shaky start. With Mercedes in 1st and 3rd position and Toyota in 2nd, Porsche was going to need a miracle to match the pace. And by the grace of God, a miracle came. The CLK LM was leading the entire time up in the beginning before the halfway point of the race, until devastating problems arose for Mercedes. The CLK LM's power steering oil pump malfunctioned, causing the entire car's lubrication system to fail. As a result, Schneider had to stop on the pit straight on lap 19. Gunan also experienced the same problem and had to pit a few laps later. With this, the Mercedes CLK LM was out of the race. Then it was BMW's turn to have an unfortunate fate. The BMW V12 drivetrains were experiencing vibrations while driving at high speeds. To prevent a major breakdown, the team decided to stop the race early. Car number 2 had completed 43 laps, and car number 1 had finished 60 laps before it too was retired. Just like that, BMW was also out of the race. Halfway through the race, Toyota's number 28 GT1 was taking out the competition due to a high-speed accident. Unfortunately for Porsche, Toyota's number 29 was still going strong in the race and outpacing the 911 GT1. At the last 90 minutes of the race, both 911 GT1s were in the pits for minor repairs. Hope was grim. It looked like Toyota would take the checkered flag. And, out of nowhere, the GT1 was struck by transmission failure. An absolute tragedy for Toyota, especially since the number 27 entry was 25 laps behind Porsche, meaning the two Porsche spent the last hour in 1-2 formation, and that is how the race was finished. Despite the grim hope at the start of the race, the Porsche 911 GT1 conquered the 1998 Le Mans. Through undisputed reliability, McNish, Aiello, and Ortelli's car crossed the line in first place, bringing Porsche a historic 16th victory at the toughest race in the world. A single car, but it really makes sense when you consider the fact that it is a racing icon. The Porsche 911 GT1, a car born from necessity and crafted with precision, had conquered the ultimate challenge. It was a triumph of engineering, strategy, and sheer determination, and it cemented Porsche's legacy as one of motorsport's greatest icons. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.